Alright, so back to this. It's funny enough, right? I didn't anticipate on making this video, or it was more so a toss-up, but again, I decided to, follow through and actually make it right. But however, given that that's the case, this should definitively be the last video, right? Again, in terms of that, just looking at it, right? Again, literally the only other stuff I could really touch on would be, again, right, Templar Order, which I'm not, what's it called, like special comparisons, right? But I'm not, right, again, for fear of just devolving into an analysis for basically every single episode. And then, seasonal comparisons, right? Comparing seasons overall, comparing season starters, finales, but I'm kind of holding off on that because, A, not only have I made a ton of these so far, I basically did and I've done, like, I was thinking of doing, like, character analysis and rewrite, but I've pretty much done that for these videos, right? As well as touching on everything few and far in between, right? Again, so that's something where it's like, in terms of that, I'm going to hold off. And I've said this, right? And what I'll probably do is whenever Season 5 comes out, it's supposed to come out in the summer. That's bullshit. I guarantee it's not. I'll rewatch through probably every single season. And then, after that, I can start to do those specific things, right? After I rewatch it, right, I'll probably do a seasonal comparison, then rewatch through all the starters and finales yet again, and then do that, right? I'm holding off on that kind of stuff. I've made plenty of these videos, right? Starting off with Why the Reveal Doesn't Matter, and then ending off with Ladybug PV, right? Again, it's something to where it's like, in terms of that, right, it's about time, right? And again, this is the perfect video to kind of wrap it all up, right? And honestly, I don't really know what I want to title this video. I'm thinking maybe probably Season 4 finale implications, right? Something along that lines. Not because I'm not doing a Season 5. Well, technically I already have a Season 5 predictions, but it was a 4 and 5, right? But again, I'm not doing a Season 5 predictions because I don't fucking know what it entails. Nor am I going to try and predict because who knows, right? For me, if I were to predict, if, Gabriel had at least one brain cell, he'd go back in time and hunt to, the event which caused his wife's death, right? But obviously that can't happen because he can't win, right? But moving on, right? So again, this is mainly going to be touching on the implications of Season 4 or more specifically the finale. Not even really Season 4, but the finale. Because we've kind of been touching through these videos on the implications of Season 4 itself, right? Going through Season 4, a lot of these are, right? But again, it's something to where it's like, now, and I've specifically been holding off on doing any, like, finale or post-finale analysis, right? With the exception of, like, the Hawkmoth can win video, right? And then the endgame video. But again, that's something where I've been holding off this whole time. So this video is going to I've been holding off for this video, and this video is going to kind of touch on everything, right? Moving forward, basically. And honestly, it really shouldn't take that long, because there isn't really that much stuff to touch on. But it is something to where it's like, we kind of do know what would you call it, right? What we can expect going forward to Season 5. Again, not doing a whole ass Season 5 prediction, just more so just as a result of the implications of the Season 4 finale, if that makes sense. So, moving on, right? I think it's about time we get into it. Again, I'm going to get this out of the way, right? This is kind of what this will kind of, I guess, supersede, I don't want to say supersede, but again, in a lot of the previous videos, I've been talking about the topics excluding the Season 4 finale, right? This is going to kind of, with the basis that, I'll make a video on that later and touch on everything then. That's what I'm going to do now, but honestly, it really shouldn't be that much, so it's not like I'm going to go back and touch on everything or talk about how this is in relation to every single video. It's more so just moving forward, right? Kind of what we can expect, so if that makes sense. But anyway, it's been 4 minutes. It's about time I get into it, so there's that, right? Yeah, there's that. So, first things first, obviously, I guess for background context, right, in the Season 4 finale, the big thing and sort of the big event, the big, what would you call it, right? The big thing that happened, right, was that, again, Gabriel got all the Miraculous, basically, all of them besides the Ladybug and Black Cat one, right? He got literally every single one, So, and he got it because, Felix, he touched his, what would you call it, right? Whatever his fucking animal is on the Ladybug's yo-yo, right, and called it to him and let him just take and pull every single one out of the yo-yo, right, or from the yo-yo, from the Miracle Box. So, again, Marinette Ladybug, still technically a guardian, but guardian of Zero Miraculous, because, again, the only ones because, again, Gabriel Hawkmoth got every single one besides hers, the Ladybug one, and then Adrian's the Black Cat one, right, and that's because both of those are permanent holders, right, as opposed to how it worked with them kind of giving the temporary Miraculous to everyone else. And again, that led to this situation where now Gabriel and Hawkmoth is open, right? So that's the big thing that happens, right? That's sort of the big, event, the big shift, right? That's the main, honestly, probably one of the biggest events in the whole show. It's a pretty big fight. I can't stress enough how big of a deal this is. Honestly, beyond probably Gabriel finding the original Peacock and Butterfly Miraculous, this is probably the second biggest event in the whole show. I can't stress enough how big this is, right? This is a pretty big fuck. And okay, with the exception of maybe Marinette becoming the Guardian, right? Master Fu transferring guardianship over to Marinette Ladybug. That may be the actual biggest event, right? But beyond that, again, this is up there, right? I can't stress enough. So, with that, right, we can kind of get into implications, right? Again, what does this mean? So, again, I already made a video titling, how Hawkmoth can win, right? Not even that, more so with literally all of the Miraculouses should be able to win. But again, we know because of the existence of Alex and Bunnix in the future timeline, if that were to happen, she would simply come back and prevent from happening, which didn't happen. She didn't come back in time, so we know he still doesn't win, right? Despite the fact that he has all the Miraculous. So somehow he still doesn't win. So we know, despite the fact that he is literally every single Miraculous besides theirs, he's still not going to win. We know that. So that's the first thing. So again, people saying like, oh, he's going to win, right? He should win. He can fucking win. He can do it, right? He can just do whatever. Yeah, right? We know it doesn't happen because Alex or Bunnix didn't come back in time to stop it, which is the big issue that I have with the future timeline, is that there's nothing at stake, because we know that if she doesn't come back, he doesn't win, or if she does, she'll simply undo what would have happened, right? So, but there's that, right? We're just establishing that. So despite the fact that, he ended up getting all the Miraculous, he still doesn't win in the end, right? So there's that. I wouldn't even really say that's an implication, more so than just reality, right? So there's that. So again, that's not the most interesting part of the finale, because we know he doesn't win regardless, right? So just putting that out there. I'd say the second thing is, again, and I touched this in the How Felix Invalidates Hawkmoth video, right? Is that, I guess Felix not only knows Gabriel is Shadow Moth, I guess now he's only Hawkmoth because he gave up the Peacock one. B knows that Amele's still alive in the basement, but C is also actively working with him and got the Peacock Miraculous in return, which doesn't really make sense, again, unless you unless you're assuming the Adrian's a Sentimonster theory, right? Then that would make some sort of sense. Again, not saying that that's the case, but that theory makes a lot more sense within the context of Season 4, and especially the finale with him wanting the Peacock Miraculous, if he would have known that, or at the very least suspected it, right? And that would explain why, he's so similar to Felix. He's just like a better version of him, right? But moving on, right? So again, the big thing is that, because Felix has only been in, 2 or 3 episodes? Literally, I think 3. The first one was his debut in Season 3, where he steals the ring, right, from Gabriel and impersonates Adrian. So that establishes him as enemy of Gabriel. Then that second episode where he supposedly figures out he's Shadow Moth, which he, again, ends up confirming, right, in that one episode in Season 4. And again, still is his enemy. And then the finale where he ends up, basically bartering with Gabriel's Hawkmoth, right? But again, it's something to where the implication of that is that not even necessarily that they're going to work together, but that, honestly, Felix has, what would you call it? That he has power over Gabriel in that form or fashion. Again, that's why I made the whole video talking about how it invalidates Hawkmoth, because, they go through all this effort, to show how careful, how a cold, calculating, careful, risk-adverse Gabriel is, funny enough, using that term. And then Felix just comes in 3 episodes and fucks everything up. It's actually hilarious, but again, that's something to where it goes to show that, he has, leverage over him, right? Not necessarily that, I wouldn't even say that, because before they were enemies, I wouldn't even necessarily say they're friends, more so than they're just what would you call it, right? Then they're just again, I don't even want to say partners, more so than they're just that they bartered, right? And that he holds power over him in that retrospect. Again, granted, he only holds power through knowledge. Given that Gabriel has literally every single Miraculous, he holds all the effective power, right? Because if it was really an issue, he could simply go back in time and then like take out Felix then and there, his future self with his past self in the room, right? And if it was really that big of an issue, but again, right, you know, again, we know that's not going to happen, right? Which is unfortunate because, you know, again, I don't think the show writers really understand how powerful the Miraculous are, right? I hate to say it, but, like, especially the time, like, one of the funniest sentences that I read was on the wiki where it's like, the first Kwame to be born, right, or I guess the first Kwame to be birthed, right, was Tiki, but the term first implies the concept of time, which would mean that fucking, whichever the bunny one came first. It's actually hilarious. Like, that was the funniest line I read, and it really just goes to show how powerful and busted the rabbit one. Honestly, he only needs that one. He doesn't need the rest. He really only needs that one. But anyway, moving on, right? So what we've established again, and our implication is that, again, he's at least bartering with Felix, right? I wouldn't even say they're friends, much less even partners, right? You know, they're still, I guess, enemies, quote unquote, but at least they were, you know, bartering, working together, right? You know, in some way, shape, or form, fashion, right? So at the very least, they're on similar, I don't even want to say, but like semi-similar pages in terms of, their goals, I guess, aligning just so happenly, like coincidentally. I think I don't really want to talk about it anymore because I really hate Felix, but at least they're bartering, right? They're willing to barter, work together, you know. Big deals, right? Moving on. And the third and kind of the biggest thing that I want to talk about is, again, sort of, and this is something that I've been talking about and been holding off on, right, since, you know, some of my earlier videos, right, you know, talking about Marinette and Adrian, right, but more specifically their relationship moving forward, and more specifically Ladybug and Chat Noir's partnership moving forward, right, again, because obviously, you know, Chat Noir, I made a video literally called Chat Noir's obsolescence, right, he was basically obsolete in Season 4, he got completely shafted and sidelined, right. I mean, because anytime Marinette or Ladybug needed something, she would just give Miraculous to someone else, right? She wouldn't use Chat Noir, right? Again, and that led to him giving up his Miraculous literally multiple times. You'd think she'd learn by now, right? You know, and this isn't to rag on Adrian or Chat Noir again, because the whole point, I made a literal video on this, is that he's a victim, right? A victim of abuse. He doesn't recognize love because he doesn't receive it from either his father or even Ladybug, right? It's something where he'd rather be abused by his father, who he hates, than by Ladybug, the one he loves, right? That's kind of what it comes down to. And I would almost say that, again, Marinette and Ladybug's treatment of Chat Noir is literally borderline abuse, I would say, right? You know, you'd think for superhero partners and friends, you know, because ignoring all the romance stuff, you'd think they'd at least, you know, again, right? You know, they'd at least act as partners and as friends, right? And utilize each other, right? You know, because they're the two superheroes, the big two, right? The main two. But as soon as, you know, Marinette and Ladybug became Guardian, she just Chat Noir may as well have just not existed, right? Because you just give whatever Miraculous she needs to whoever, right? You know, excluding Chat Noir, because she doesn't trust him, you know, she thinks he's unstable, right? That's kind of what it comes down to, right? If there's ever a situation where she says she trusts him, she's lying through her teeth, right? Again, especially after Shot Blanc, so thinks he's a liability, right? She'd rather, literally, that's the whole point of the Kuro Neko, right? Episode, right? That it's like, oh, you know, he's no longer it. We gotta choose someone else, right? Like, literally, she got his Miraculous, and fucking Plague was like, oh, I'll bring it back, right? You know, I'm sorry about him. And she's like, no, let's choose someone else, right? It's literally hilarious. It's like, I was like, during that episode, I'm like, I really can't stress enough how much of a bad idea that is, right? Like that's just an awful idea. But again, moving on. It ended up working out because it was literally the same dude, right? Plague recognizes both Plague and Tiki. They're like, okay, this is dumb. This is stupid. We need to get it back to him, right? It can't be someone else. So, But moving on, obviously with the season 4 finale, right? Given that there's literally that Gabriel Hawkmoth has literally all of the Miraculous besides theirs too. There's no Miraculous she can give to any people, right? Because she doesn't have access to any of them, right? She's still the Guardian, but because Gabriel Hawkmoth swiped all the Miraculous, right? She can't give the Miraculous to anyone because she doesn't have any, right? Guardian of nothing, right? Literally zero. So she can't bring up another Miraculous user as an ally like she was able to in season 3, and how again she would just, or in season 4, but moving forward with season 5, right? Season 4 finale implications. Again, something to where she can't come. Chat Noir, he's no longer obsolete. She now can't, shaft and sideline Chat Noir like she has been doing, simply because she has no Miraculous to give anyone, right? She has no power or control over that anymore. So now it's literally just her and Chat Noir, like it was in season 1. It's literally just them two. So again, now it's their relationships basically. Now the power balance is pretty much even now, since it's literally just them two against literally all the other Miraculous, right, being controlled by one person. So again, that's something to where it's like, again, in terms of that, like, again, they're the power, because obviously, I talked about this, right? In season 1, they were partners and friends. In season 2, they weren't partners, but they were friends, because that's when she starts to meet with the Guardian, and basically, again, that's kind of when the power imbalance starts to make itself apparent. Season 3, they're no longer partners, no longer friends, right? Season 2 kind of planted the seeds, sowed the seeds, right? And then season 3 kind of built that foundation, right? Not only a power imbalance, but also, again, the distrust and mistrust between them, right? Lack of trust. And again, with the finale, with her becoming Guardian, right? Gaining guardianship. Again, that's something to where it's like season 4, it wasn't even a power, it wasn't even like the scales of power were tipped in one direction, right? Like it was season 2 or 3. It's just completely imbalanced, right? Where again, she held all the power, right? Again, that's the whole point of the Chat Noir's obsolescence video, right? But moving on, again, that's something where it's like, now that's no longer the case. The power balance is restored, so they actually need to use each other, right? And again, also, not only is the power balance restored in terms of their partnership, but also their friendship. This is the big thing, right? Because again, we see in the finale, she's like sitting there crying, right, as like Hawkmoth makes like an announcement, basically like, I won, you lost, like, suck my ass. Like, that's basically what the announcement was. It's literally like, fucking like, oh, I win, right? Good game, GG, too easy, right? That's basically what the announcement was. And she's like sitting there crying. And Chat Noir just strolls up, right? Comes on over, right? And she's like, why are you still here with me? I'm the worst Ladybug, worst Guardian. I literally lost everything. She pretty much admitted to like borderline abusing him, basically like neglecting him, and then like, isolating and like completely sideline him. She just admits to kind of acting how shitty she was, right? And she's like, why are you still with me, right? Why do you still like love me? And he's like, because you're a Ladybug, right? And he kind of goes off on like, everything she's doing, right? It's like not how hard you fall, but whether you get back up type stuff, right? And again, then they like hug it out and they're ready to fight him. And again, it's something to where, again, I think honestly, despite, again, the issue being with Gabriel Hawkmoth literally having every single Miraculous, and I talk about this in the How Hawkmoth Can Win video, right? Is that basically any ending where he doesn't win is completely contrived, because like, he has literally all of them. Like, I can't, like, emphasize it enough how he can just win in multiple ways at this point, right? He can bring a melee back without even needing to fight them. He can learn their identities, all of these two in multiple ways. He can fucking just destroy them in any, like, I can't emphasize enough how any way that, or any sort of ending that doesn't involve him winning is now contrived, because he has literally every single Miraculous. Because before, and even especially in season 3 of Time Tagger, it was like, okay, he's not gonna win, right? We know he's not even the Hawkmoth in the future, but now that he has literally every single fucking one, there should be no way that he doesn't win. But obviously we know that's not gonna be the case, right? And again, that's something to where it's like, again, right? Shoot, where am I? I was going somewhere with this, right? But again, I was going somewhere with this. But again, it's something to where it's like, the point being, right, that Ladybug and Chat Noir, right? They're both partners and friends at this point, right? Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. I think actually in terms of plot and in terms of repairing the relationship between Ladybug and Chat Noir, I mean it's a good decision to just throw away all the Miraculous, right? Give them all a Hawk Moth, because now she can't. He's no longer obsolete. She can't just fucking neglect and abuse him and completely sideline him like she has, right? Again, but the downside being that there's literally no way that Hawkmoth should lose. There's no way that he shouldn't win. There are multiple ways in which he can just straight up bring a melee back without even needing to fight Ladybug Chat Noir, learn their identities without needing to fight them, and then just destroy him in a fight. Like, I can't emphasize enough, using just the honestly, the Rabbit Miraculous itself, using only that, he can win. Right? He can figure out, using that, he can figure out who they are since he knows who Master Fu was. He just needs to go back in time and see who he gives the Miraculous to. He could also go back in time and basically, at any point, major point in the series, and then using that along with the horse one, right, which allows teleportation, he can literally pop up at any point in the series. Anything we see in the series, you can watch episode 1 through 100, right? At any point on screen during those times, he can pop up just using those two. And, like, I can't emphasize enough. And if he uses the B one, he can just, immobilize them. He can literally pop up behind them, episode 1, immobilize them, take their stuff, right? Like, I can't emphasize enough, right? Just, there's, again, obviously good for plot in terms of, Chat Noir's no longer obsolete and useless, right? Moving forward, they actually need to use each other, right? Utilize each other, but there's also no way that Hawkmoth should be able to lose, right? I mean, he should be able to win. Obviously, we know he's not going to, but still, right, again. But yeah, again, there's that, right? I think I'm going to end it here. I mean, I made my point. I talked about what I want to, right? Again, for me, the big thing is just, moving forward, kind of the biggest implication, right, is that Ladybug and Chat Noir are partners and friends again, right? Or at least they need to work together, right? He's no longer obsolete, basically. That's the big one. Other smaller ones being that, Gabriel should be able to win, which we know he won't because of the Alex and Bunnix from the future timeline didn't come back. Again, he's dealing and quote-unquote working with Felix. It's more so just their goals align. But again, Felix still holds power over Gabriel by knowing his secret, right? But if it was really an issue, he would just simply use the Rabbit Miraculous to just go back in time and, like, literally go back in time and just, like, murder Felix, right? Like, honestly, that's legit what I would do if I was him. Like, take that, go back in time, like, literally to when he was born, and then just, well, honestly, not even when he was born. Just go back in time to after he gives Gabriel all the Miraculous, and then just go back there, and then just, like, literally just take his Miraculous from behind him, right? Literally back to that scene. I can't emphasize enough, just, but again, the big thing, those are minor, like, small things. The big things that, again, kind of what it comes down to is that moving forward, Ladybug and Chat Noir, it's back to how it was in season 1, right? It's just them two, so they need to work together as partners, and then eventually as friends again, right? That's the big thing, and it'll be interesting to see how their relationship evolves in season 5, right? Honestly, I don't care about the story at this point, right? Because it's like fucking, there's just no way to where he shouldn't be able to just win like that. Literally, like, I already talked about it in that video. I'm not going to talk about it again, right? I already talked about the how Hawkmoth can win video, right? It's just, there should be no way he loses. But, again, I'm going to end it here. This is kind of what I wanted to cover, right? And this is what I'm going to end it on, right? I don't really anticipate making AR videos, right? Because I pretty much made all the videos I wanted to make, right? Again, the only other videos would be the Temple and Order one, which I'm not making. The special analysis, which I'm not making, right? Because it devolved into every single episode. Seasonal comparisons, which if I do make for both seasons, starters and then finales, I'm going to wait until I end up rewatching the whole show. Because, again, basically my plan is to rewatch the whole show before season 5 comes out. Because I already know it's not coming out in the summer, right? That's bullshit. Zero chance. I'd bet my left kidney on it, right? Again, it's not coming out, so I'll wait until then. But for now, again, I busted out a lot of these videos, right? He literally been doing like 2 to 3 a day for the past 2 weeks. And again, something where I've been kind of neglecting Omicron. I made a couple videos on that, right? Again, last updated March 19th. So, again, that's something where it's like I've kind of been neglecting that. I haven't even played it since then, right? But again, I want to get back to those, so that's what I'll be doing. And since I'm no longer making these, I won't really have to worry about that. So again, I'm going to end it here. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I'm going to end it on, right? Who knows when the next video I make is? I don't. But yeah. Right, so there's that again. That's all I have for this one. That's all I want to talk about. So, yep. That's it for this one. See you in the next one.